This is the Shark LA322 Navigator Advanced Vacuum. It is the first upright I have used that actually keeps up with a shedding dog and a messy 4-year-old without clogging, scattering crumbs, or leaving a dusty smell in the air afterward. It sits in that sweet spot of a full-size, corded upright that also converts into a portable canister for above-floor cleaning. If you live with pets, kids, or any mix of carpets and hard floors, this is the type of vacuum that makes sense. I reach for it on real cleaning days when I need to do the living room, the hallway runner, the stairs, and then finish with the kitchen in one pass. It does not try to be tiny or cute. It is a straightforward workhorse that is still light enough to carry and easy enough to steer. The design looks familiar if you have used a Shark before, but a few details matter. The dust bin is tall and easy to see through, so I can tell right away when I have picked up a wad of pet hair or if the bin is getting full. The handle has a comfortable angle, and the swivel neck lets the head twist around chair legs without fighting me. The light-emitting diode headlights sound like a gimmick, until you turn them on and watch them reveal every crumb along the baseboard. The cord is long enough to cross rooms in my place without hunting for another outlet, and the hose has enough reach for stairs without stretching uncomfortably. The lift-away design uses a pod release pedal, so I do not have to bend and fumble with a latch. The accessories snap on and off with a reassuring click, and the 8-inch crevice tool is exactly the right length for getting between car seats and along the dryer. Setup is simple. Out of the box, the parts slot together in minutes. There is no tiny bag of screws, no weird alignment dance. The filters are already seated. I locked in the handle, clicked on the hose, and I was cleaning before the coffee finished. Switching from floor mode to above floor mode is intuitive, and the lift-away pod detaches with a single step on the pedal. Emptying the dust bin is a one-button bottom release over the trash can. The seal around the bin keeps puff back to a minimum. If you have ever had that moment where a cheap vacuum blows dust back in your face, this is the opposite of that. The core performance is where this thing earns its keep. On carpet, the brush roll digs in and pulls up hair that has been walked into the pile for days. I tested it on a hallway runner that used to hide dog hair deep in the fibers. One slow pass forward and one back, and the canister showed a satisfying spiral of fuzz and dust. On hard floors, the head keeps a tight seal to the ground, so it does not snowplow little kernels of cereal. It actually pulls fine grit like sand and coffee grounds instead of kicking them away. Pet hair does not wrap around the brush roll like it does on older uprights. I have cut tangled hair off many brush rolls in my life. Here, the self-cleaning brush roll really does keep spinning clean, even after a full house sweep where I know I sucked up a lot of long strands and fur. There is a quiet pride in flipping it over after a heavy session and seeing no nest of hair wrapped around the bar. I care a lot about the air that comes out of a vacuum. This model has a sealed body and a high-efficiency particulate air filter. On paper, Shark says it captures 99.99% of dust and allergens. In practice, what I notice is that my living room does not smell like hot dust when I finish. The air feels calmer. Family members who are sensitive started sneezing less after a clean, which is not a scientific test, but it is the kind of real-life metric that matters. I ran a few simple tests at home. In the kitchen, I sprinkled a handful of rice, a pinch of flour, and some crushed cereal along a baseboard. The light-emitting diode headlights made it easy to track, and the head grabbed almost everything in one pass. A little dust stayed right in the corner where the baseboard meets the floor, and it took a quick approach from a shallow angle to finish it. On the stairs, I popped the pod off and used the pet multi-tool with the bristles extended. Hair came off the stair treads and the fabric runner without making the tool clog. The lift-away pod is light enough that my arm was fine for the whole staircase, although after a while you still feel the weight. On a medium pile rug under the dining table, I intentionally left a scatter of dog treats that had been stepped on. The brush roll did not fling them across the room, which is a small mercy, and the suction picked up the crumbs that were ground in. A day that really sold me on this vacuum was after a weekend art project. There was glitter. There was dried Play-Doh. There were cracker crumbs ground into the couch. I started with the hose and the pet multi-tool on the cushions, then moved to the crevice tool along the base and down into the seams. The airflow felt strong and steady, and the tool did not leave tracks of leftover dust. On the floor, the main head picked up the glitter that escaped earlier brooms, and those headlights made each sparkle easy to chase down. I will not say it got every single speck in one go, but it got so much that the room looked reset. Later that week, I used it in the car. The 8-inch crevice tool reached from the door sill to the center console gap. It is rigid enough to push into tight spaces without bending, and because the pod is not too heavy, I could stand outside the car and work without contorting my back. There are a few quirks. The hose is a bit stiff when new, so when you pull the wand for quick spot cleaning, the base can feel a little eager to tip if you yank too hard. Once I learned to place a foot on the base or to park it against a chair leg, it stopped being an issue, but it is worth knowing. The head is a touch tall. It will not glide fully under a very low couch, so I still pull furniture out for a deep clean. On hard floors, the motor tone has a higher pitch when the brush roll is engaged, which can be noticeable if you clean while someone is napping. The dust bin latch is strong, which is great, but the plastic tab feels a little thin. It has held up fine so far, and I am careful not to slam it. What I really appreciate are the small, thoughtful touches that shave time off chores. The advanced swivel steering lets me carve around table legs without 4 awkward micro-turns. The headlights let me clean confidently at night without turning on every lamp. The sealed system and the high-efficiency particulate air filter help the house feel fresher, especially in allergy season. The self-cleaning brush roll means I have not pulled out scissors in months. The lift-away mode turns a heavy-duty upright into a nimble stair and sofa cleaner with one step on the pedal. After a few weeks, I reached for it without thinking, which is always the best sign that a tool is doing its job. If you are a pet owner, this vacuum handles dander, hair tumbleweeds, and that fine dust that seems to appear every day. If you have both carpet and hard floors, the head transitions smoothly without fuss. If you have allergies or just hate the smell of dusty air, the sealed design and filter setup make a noticeable difference. If you want one machine that can do the full house and then detach for stairs and car seats, the lift-away function is genuinely useful. If you prefer the tiniest, whisper-quiet vacuum, this is not that. It is a practical, strong cleaner that favors results over minimal size. This is the part where I step back and think about the whole experience. I did not baby this vacuum. I used it after rainy dog walks. I used it on dropped snacks and kid-craft debris. I cleaned stairs, rugs, car mats, and the forever dusty zone under the entry bench. The Shark LA322 Navigator Advanced Vacuum earned a spot in the closet I actually keep within reach. It is powerful without being a chore to move. It is versatile without feeling fiddly. It reduces maintenance because the brush roll takes care of itself, and the filters are easy to rinse and replace. It is not perfect, but it is reliable, and it makes my home feel cleaner in ways I can see and breathe. If you are choosing a vacuum for a busy home with pets, kids, or both, put this one on your short list. If your space is mostly delicate rugs and ultra-low furniture, you might want a slimmer head for those tight clearances, but for mixed floors and everyday messes, this is a strong pick. I plan to keep using it as my main vacuum, and I will update in a future video if anything changes with long-term wear. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments what you want me to test next or any questions you have about this vacuum. Thank you for watching.